Shalawama, Shalawama, welcome back. I am Dr. Yasapa. This is the Astrotheology presentation. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are a little bit early today, so bear with me. Give me a minute to get the page set up, okay? We'll be starting in about 10 minutes or so. We'll be starting in 10 minutes or so. All right. So yeah, just let me get a chance to get everything set up. I'm not able to do things the way I would normally do it if I were at home. So be patient with me. Give me a second. I am early. I'm about 12 minutes early. So don't worry. We'll be starting at 9 o'clock p.m. 9 o'clock p.m. All right. So this is part 4. And this is part 4 of the lecture on Freemasonry. Again, we're coming out of The Devil's Pulpit by Reverend Robert Taylor. This book, for those of you who do not know, oh, by the way, the link is in the description area. So make sure you go to the description area right away, right now, and download the link, okay? Download the link. And when you get a chance, be sure to copy, to print the link, okay? Be sure to print the link. This presentation, again, is on astrotheology. The Devil's Pulpit is the absolute foremost authority on astrotheology, okay? It is the absolute foremost authority on astrotheology, but there's one difficulty with it, one big difficulty with it, and that difficulty is that it's a very difficult read. It's a very, very difficult read, but don't worry about that. Don't worry about that at all, because that's why I am here, and that's why I'm presenting it. I think 95, 99% of the population would not be able to read this book and understand it. So that's the value that I'm bringing to it, okay? That's the value that I'm bringing to this. I'm able to read it and understand it and then explain it, okay? So the writing style is very difficult. This book was published from a series of lectures given in the early 1800s, 1810s, 1820s, 1830s, all right? So that said, it's converting a speech or a series of speeches or sermons, a series of speeches, lectures, sermons, whatever you want to call it, converting them into book form, okay? So that's what's happening here, all right? Converting them into book form. And of course, the English is different, right? The language is different from what it was back in those days. So it's a very, very difficult read. So I'm saying all that to say that my intention is not to cause you to change your beliefs or your religion. My intention is to provide all of you with this information so you can make an educated decision yourself regarding what it is you believe, instead of being in the position that most people are in right now, which is to accept everything that they have been told by their preacher, pastor, rabbi, imam, etc., about the Bible and about their belief systems, right? So why is this important? Because it's through religion. Religion, in other words, is the principal means of oppression. and mental slavery. That's right, it is religion. So let's go through this together, and then we can make a conscious, each and every one of us can make a conscious and informed decision as to what we're going to accept as true and what we're not going to accept as true. So is astrotheology right there in your face? It absolutely is. Whenever you look at the Christian art, iconoclasm, all of these things, you'll find astrotheology in those. So for example, when you look at Christian art, you'll often see that the Christ figure in Christian art is always, the Christ figure is always having a halo on his head. And also the apostles can be seen with halos. Well, those are actually references to astrotheology, okay? The references to astrotheology, and of course there's others. There's other images that are astrotheological in nature, especially in the construction and design of cathedrals and churches, which by the way, were not originally made to be a church. They were converted into being cathedrals and churches, okay? And you can see clearly the astrotheology in those structures, and also in some of the statues. It's very present. All right, so let me check our live stream. We still have a few minutes. So I did everything I needed to do. So now let me check the live stream to see if everything is working properly. We're still a little bit early. So if you're here watching, do me a favor and tell your friends that we are live and to come in, because we're about to begin our astrotheology presentation. So there's a, y'all have to forgive all of the noise. I'm sitting outside on a patio, and there's a port near here. So there's a lot of big 18-wheelers going by because there's a port. So you have to forgive it. Otherwise, if I go inside, I'm gonna disturb everybody inside of the hotel here. So be patient with me. I'll be leaving here soon enough. I'll be leaving here soon enough. All right. So while I'm here, be patient with me, okay? All right. So let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and pull up the documents that we need. I'm going to do a screen share, y'all. So we'll be starting in about 4 minutes, okay? We'll be starting in about 4 minutes. We'll be starting in 4 minutes. We'll be starting in 4 minutes. If you haven't subscribed, I'd like for you to consider subscribing. We offer really, really amazing content. This is not the primary type of content that we offer. Zion Law School teaches the Ancient Ibaryath language. You can see it on the screen. This is just one of our courses. This is our streaming online course. This is 101 Ancient Ibaryath. That's what we do. We teach Ancient Ibaryath. And we do that within the context of the Most High's instructions, which are sometimes called commandments, right? You can look at the top line. You see that this is the Ibaryath script, and underneath it's the English. All right, so this course will teach you about all of the pictographs that you're looking at, every aspect of the pictographs. You're going to learn it in this streaming course. You can take this course at home. You're going to learn about grammar and parts of speech. You're going to learn about etymology and word morphology, Ibaryath word morphology. And you're going to learn about and see through demonstration all of those topics, including Ibaryath word studies. Now, these are extremely powerful. When you learn how to do a Ibaryath word study, you'll see the power for yourself. There is meaning locked inside of every Ibaryath word that is not inside of a lexicon or a dictionary. It's not in there. You have to perform the Ibaryath word study in order to see it. So I teach also that information in this course. Now, this course is only $10 per month for a subscription. You can cancel anytime. There's no obligations, nothing like that. All right. The reason why it's $10 is because I want this course to be available to people all over the world, regardless of what country you're in and the value of the currency that you're using. So we're basically, this is almost free. This is as free as you can get, right? As free as you can get. It's $10 per month. So go ahead, if you haven't subscribed already, be sure to be good to yourself, reclaim your heritage by subscribing to this subscription and learning our language. The original language that our people spoke is Ibaryath. The original writings that our records were in, Ancient Ibaryath, not biblical Hebrew, not modern Hebrew, Ibaryath. So when you go through this course, you're going to learn all of the principles that we have seen the author use in uncovering all of the information that he has uncovered inside of the book we're going through today, The Devil's Pulpit. All right. Now, for those of you who want to learn more, and whether you'll subscribe to 101 Ancient Ibaryath or not, you'll want to have this book, 911 Ibaryath Rescue, International Edition. International Edition. This has all of the pictographs, okay? This has all of the pictographs. You can use this as your companion or course textbook for the 101 Ancient Ibaryath course. And by the way, that's a streaming course. And then on Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can come twice. That's 2 classes. You can come for free, and you can actually see me. I'm Dr. Yasapa, and the scholars at Zion Law School using the principles and the concepts that you'll learn in 101 Ancient Ibaryath course. You'll see how powerful it is. So be good to yourself. Buy this book, a copy for yourself and everybody in your family and all your friends according to your, your money situation. But be good to yourself and subscribe in the 101 Ancient Ibaryath course too. All right, so it's 9 o'clock and we're going to go ahead and get started. Make sure that you share this link with your friends and with your family. Let them know that we are here live. We're doing the Astrotheology presentation. So if you recall from yesterday, oh, by the way, for everybody who has been with me from the beginning of this Astrotheology series, welcome and thank you for supporting me. Also, I want to congratulate you for the interest, but more importantly, the discipline that it takes to be here day in and day out and learn and learn. And then an extra thank you for everybody who's been in the chat. You guys know who you are, who's been handling the comments for me, making sure that the comments are that we have good quality comments. Let me say that first, good quality comments, because as we say before every lecture, this is my housekeeping stuff, y'all. Before every lecture, the comment section really helps people. Because if you know something or if you have a question, there are people who are not going to resonate with me. And I don't know everything either. I don't pretend to. You may know something, or you may get a question in your mind If you put it in the comments section, it's going to help somebody who I otherwise would not have been able to reach. So I want to say thank you to all of those who have, all of you rather, who have been there doing that from the beginning. Okay, so don't be shy to all the other people. Don't be shy with your comments and questions. If I don't know the answer, somebody else might know the answer. Okay, or I might not see the answer and then somebody might provide it. Anyway, all of that said, let's get started. We're on page 278. Page 278. This is The Devil's Pulpit by Reverend Robert Taylor. Let's get going. Let's get going. So we stopped here. We stopped here. So let's begin our presentation now. All right. Again, I'm not trying to change your beliefs. I'm going to read, explain, and then give commentary where necessary. All right. Hence, with the most accurate analogy, the scriptures never speak of JC being in us, but the phrase always is that it is Christ that dwelleth in us. So make the distinction. Now I said JC, but it's the deity whose name is spelled J-E-S-U-S. Okay? Hence, with the most accurate analogy, the scriptures never speak of the deity whose name is J-E-S-U-S being in us. But the phrase is always that it is Christ that dwelleth in us. Now, scholars, you should already be making your theological relation, right? When we see Christ, we know that we're talking about the sun, specifically the sun at the zenith, the sun at its zenith, the highest point in the sky. All right, so we had several presentations where we went over that. We showed the celestial globe, so you can go through and check this out in more detail yourself. All right, so let's continue. But the phrase always is that it is Christ that dwelleth in us, that it is not the sun sun's orbit, but the sun sun's heat and warmth. Y'all got that? It is the heat and warmth inside of your body. It is the sun's heat and warmth inside of your body, which what it is and all that it ever meant. The apostle puts beyond all doubt in that most expressive definition to Colossians chapter 3, verse 3, quote, Christ, who is our life, end quote. Again, Colossians chapter 3, quote, Christ, who is our life, end quote. And for me to live is Christ, or as Christ, the principle of vitality. So what's vitality? Vitality in this instance is the energy, your physical energy, your physical strength, the physical strength of your body. Again, and as for me to live is Christ, or as Christ, the principle of vitality. Allegorically speaks of himself, quote, I am the resurrection and the life. In other words, Christ is the resurrection and the life, not according to the author, the deity whose name is spelled J-E-S-U-S, but it is Christ who's saying, I am the resurrection and the life. All right, so make the distinction, scholars. And this life in us is kept up and increased and can only be supplied by continued and repeated taking of the sacrament of the body and blood of Christ. That is, by good eating and drinking. So the author again is speaking metaphorically. The sacrament or the body and blood of the Christ that Christians must eat is nothing more than good food and good drink. Why? Because you need food and you need water. You need food and you need water in order to keep up your health. Is that right? That's right. In other words, you need nutrition and you need water to keep your body healthy. A healthy body has energy, vitality. The man or woman is strong. An unhealthy body, that person might die, in which case there's no heat, no warmth in the flesh. The flesh becomes cold, right? And it begins to, of course, go through the phase that all flesh goes through when it dies. All right, decomposition. All right, now let's continue. And I only wish that those who are so anxious to give the poor the gospel were but half as anxious to give them the sacrament. In other words, these religious people are hypocrites. The Christians are hypocrites because they're in such a frenzy, a fanatical pace to get you into Christianity. But when it comes to you being able to earn a living and have money, well, they're not trying to hear that, right? That's what the author is saying. They don't want nothing to do with that. They rather keep you poor, but a Christian, keep you starving, but a Christian. All right, let's continue with the highlight. Quote, for except we eat the flesh of Christ. Now notice it's saying eat the flesh of Christ. It did not say eat the flesh of the deity whose name is spelled J-E-S-U-S. It says, for, quote, for except we eat the flesh of Christ and drink his blood, we have no life in us, end quote. All right. Everybody got that? No life in us means that there's no warmth, there's no heat in the body. That means there's no vital energy. That's the state of death. All right. And eating the blood, eating the flesh of Christ and drinking his blood is, according to the author, the simple act of eating good food or healthy food and clean water or sweet wine or some other type of fruit drink, whatever. All right, let's continue. The next paragraph, quote, he that hath the Son have life, and he that have not the Son, now that's the S-U-N of capital G-O-D, have not life. Now this, I asked, and we covered this last presentation number 59. I went through and I looked up this verse in the Bible Hub, and all of the verses had Son, S-O-N. But the author here shows S-U-N. So the question is, have the modern Bibles changed this to S-O-N? Was it initially S-U-N and it was changed to S-O-N? That's one possibility. If any of the scholars have the time, the energy, the desire, could you search that out? Put it in the chat, in the comment section for us. Also, it could be another thing. It could be that in Freemasonry Bibles, or it could be Freemasonry doctrine or understanding or interpretation of this verse that is talking about the S-U-N Son and not the S-O-N Son. So let's continue. Let's continue with the highlighted portion here. The difference between the S-U-N Son and the S-U-N of capital G-O-D being only that the S-U-N is the great solar fire. That's the sun in the sky, as spoken of abstractly. And the S-U-N of capital G-O-D is the same solar orb. That's the sun in the sky, as spoken of in relation to his apparent position at the vernal equinox. All right, so there's our astronomical relation or astronomical position in the sky. So where are we now? The vernal equinox is the spring equinox. This occurs every year, March 21st. All right. So again, the difference between the sun, sun, that's the sun in the sky, and the sun, sun of capital God, that's what we're talking about. The difference between the sun in the sky and the sun, sun or son, right, of the deity of Christianity, being only that the sun in the sky is the sun in the sky. Okay. And the author says, as spoken abstractly. So here's an example of the abstract that the author is referring to. And the sun or the son, either way you want to look at that, of the deity of the Bible or of the Gospels is the same sun in the sky as spoken of in relation to his apparent position in the vernal equinox. Everybody got that? The sun in the sky and the sun of the deity. You will find both of those being the same in the spring equinox or the vernal equinox, from whence all time was reckoned to begin. Okay, so all time was reckoned to begin in the spring equinox with the sun in the sky and the sun, whether you spell it sun or son, of the deity, right? In this case, it would be the tetragrammaton. So I'm not pronouncing the deity's names, okay? It would be the tetragrammaton. Again, our location is the vernal equinox, which is March 21st in the celestial sky. And when he, that is when he, the sun, appears to be in the tribe of capital God. Now, scholars who've been here from the beginning, you'll note that the tribe of Gad, G-A-D, again, G-A-D, the tribe of Gad. So what happened here? What happened? They replaced the A in Gad with an O. All right. They replaced Gad, G-A-D. They took the A out and put an O, G-O-D. Again, and when he, that is the sun, appears in the tribe of capital G-O-D or the tribe of Gad, that is the constellation called Aries the Ram or the Lamb. Everybody see that? All right, so that is the astronomy of it. That is the astronomy of it. So hence, we see where we are getting capital G-O-D from. We're getting capital G-O-D from the constellation Aries. Aries the Ram. Aries the Ram is also the Lamb. Aries the Ram is also the Lamb. This constellation is also referred to as the tribe of Gad, G-A-D. We take the A out, put an O in, and you have capital G-O-D. All right. So scholars, please like and share the video, and let some other people know that we are right now live with our astrotheology presentation. I got a question for y'all. Is this, so Uncle Gary writes, hey Doc, I've been away and still traveling. I'll be tuning in, but I can't comment. Okay, well, thanks for letting me know, Gary. I appreciate that. Is this, for me, it's like extremely loud. Is this irritating, like all of this noise? Is this irritating y'all? If it's irritatingly loud, put a 1 in the comment section for me and let me know, because I might have to find a different place to do this if it's taken away from the video. The problem is that it's like 6:30, so 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is 6:30 in the morning in Mumbai, India. That's the problem. So I don't know what's going to be open around here. And I'll tell y'all what, this place is different than anything I've ever seen before. But the wonderful thing is that they have local commerce. I haven't seen all of the huge global corporations. I've seen some, but there are mom and pop shops everywhere. There are restaurants everywhere. And when I look and see all of this, it makes me feel so sad for the people in the US because your commerce has been stolen from y'all. You all in the US have been forced into poverty, and you've been forced into situations where, for example, because you have a job working for someone else, or let's say you're working for a big corporation, they have control over your life. They can tell you what to do, i.e., take the jab or get fired. But when I look here, but this not just India, almost all the other countries, Vietnam, not so much in Mexico. In Mexico, it's a little bit sad too, but they still have mom and pop stores, at least where I was at, but not a lot. But here in Mumbai, they have mom and pop stores everywhere, restaurants everywhere. But all that money that they're making in the US, y'all have nothing but Walmart, right? Office Max. You have no choices, but it's not the choices. It's the freedom, the liberty that you have when you can have your own business. That's what's been taken away from people in the US. And the sad thing about it is that a lot of the people, most of the people, they don't even realize it. They don't care because their goal is to get a job at one of these big corporations instead of having their own so that they can be free and have liberty to do whatever they want to do. But anyway, let me get off the soapbox. If the sound quality is bad, put a 1 in the comment section. Let me know, please. All right. All right, so let's continue with the presentation. All right, so we're at that bottom paragraph. We're at the bottom paragraph here. All right, and it reads, and from which position? Now the position is the constellation called Aries, the ram or the lamb, right? This is in the vernal equinox, of course. Okay, so let's continue to the next page. All right, and from the position which from the whole year was reckoned to begin, the sun sun receives that truly magnificent epitome rather, quote, our capital Lord, JC, the Christ figure, that great shepherd of the sheep, y'all got that? That great shepherd of the sheep, the lamb or the ram, right? And hence it is the sun itself, who, speaking in his allegorical character, calls himself so repeatedly, verily, verily, ver, capital V-E-R, being the well-known Latin word for the spring, the vernal equinox. Do y'all understand? Now that is no coincidence to me. I don't know about you, but that doesn't seem like a coincidence to me. Springtime, springtime. So verily, verily, again, the root of verily would be ver, B-E-R. Spring, spring. Whenever something is repeated more than once, it is for emphasis. So now we have the lamb. JC, the Christ figure, is called the Lamb of capital G-O-D. We have verily or ver in Latin, which is spring, spring, emphasizing spring. So we go to the celestial map. We look on the celestial map, and what do we see? We see the tribe of Gad. Capital G-A-D, of course, the vowels are interchangeable. Now you have capital G-O-D. And then you have Aries, the ram. Okay, you have Aries, the ram, or what? Or the lamb. Okay, and you have sheep. Clearly, in my opinion, clearly that is not a coincidence. But anyway, let's continue. Verily, verily, and we see the root verb, ver, being the well-known Latin word for the spring, the vernal equinox. Y'all see that? The root in vernal is ver, ver, vernal equinox. The root in verily is ver. So two references to spring. I never made that connection myself. Have y'all made this connection? Scholars, have you made this connection? We see the root ver in verily, right? And then we see the root ver in vernal equinox, wherever that, okay, here it is. Kind of hard for me to see my screen, y'all. And we see the root ver in vernal equinox. All right, it's a little bit much to be just a coincidence, in my opinion, but you decide, is this enough evidence? Has the author made his case to support his claims based upon this evidence? Notice, so this is again etymological evidence. Unless you understand etymology, you wouldn't be able to see these connections, right? All right, let's continue. And this so emphatically and 20 times repeatedly, quote, verily, verily, I say unto you, end quote, does not mean truly or really. Now that's what they teach in Christianity. That's what they taught in the brand of Christianity that I was once in. All right, quote, verily, verily, I say unto you, end quote, does not mean truly or really, but the very contrary. That is, figuratively, vernally, verily. That is, in the character of the vernal S-U-N sun. That is, in the character of the vernal S-U-N sun. Okay? And the I, we went through this before, I, etc. I think that refers to the deity, right? I don't recall right now, but you can go back to the earlier lessons. If I recall right, the I refers to the deity whose name is spelled J-E-S-U-S, right? And that is also the sun. Remember, there was no J, there was I. Okay. All right, let's continue. Next paragraph. Quote, I am the beautiful shepherd, and I know my sheep, and I am known of mine, end quote. And we see the Latin expression there. We see that quotation expressed in Latin. The shepherd, the beautiful. Our English translation shrinks out of the sense of the original in order to conceal the identity of the sweet deity whose name is spelled J-E-S-U-S of the gospel, and the beautiful deity whose name is spelled A-D-O-N-I-S of the mythology. Quote, the beautiful shepherd layeth down his life for the sheep, end quote. So the author, again, this is another instance where the author has revealed trickery, lies, right? Lies. Remember those translators, those mediators who we depend on to tell us what the scriptures mean? Well, here's an indication. Well, here's a specific occurrence where they lied, specifically to trick you. All right, let's continue. In other words, they didn't want you to know this information, right? As the author put it, let's just say that one more again. As the author put it, our English translations shrinks out of the sense of the original. In other words, The original says something, but the English says something different. In order to conceal the identity of the deity whose name is spelled Jesus of the gospel, and the beautiful deity whose name is spelled Adonis of the mythology. So this deity whose name is spelled Adonis is quote, the beautiful shepherd layeth down his life for the sheep, end quote. So the deity of the gospel, Jesus, is one and the same Adonis, the Adonis deity of mythology. Y'all got that? They did not want you to ever find that out, so they translated it in a way that you would never know. All right. So I hope everybody can see the power in the use of etymology, also philology, right? The philology, the history, church father writings, and mythology. Hope everybody sees that it's powerful when you learn this stuff, okay? Why? Because it allows you to crack open the books and understand. All right, why, look, sirs, the best sense of your clergy could ever give you of such a catachresis, and say if the walls of a madhouse ever resounded to the echo of greater nonsense. Here's the world turned topsy-turvy. Here's the sheep taking care of the shepherd, and where to eat the butcher instead of the mutton. Y'all got that? That's actually kind of funny, right? In other words, the deity of the gospel is supposed to be taking care of all of you all, the sheep. But the sheep, y'all giving y'all money to the deity in terms of a tithe, in terms of whatever financial support that you're given, in terms of your labor. For example, there are some religions where you help them build the buildings where they have congregations, or you go volunteer at their headquarters. So now here are the sheep doing the work for the shepherd, and it's not supposed to be that way. That's the author's point. It's turned topsy-turvy. All right. Here's the world turned topsy-turvy. Here's the sheep taking care of the shepherd. All right, let's go to the next paragraph. The highlighted part here. But how beautiful, how sublime, how magnificent is science. Again, what science is the author referring to? Philology, specifically etymology, and with relation to the paragraphs that we just covered, etymology and mythology, matching everything up. So once you uncover the root or the radical and its meaning, then you can go and you can search for equivalent statements or quotations from deities in mythology. Easy, right? Easy. That's all the author is doing. So if you haven't subscribed to 101 Ancient Ibaryath course, stop sitting on the fence and subscribe now. Support Zion Law School, but also support your nation, because we have to learn Ancient Ibaryath. We have to learn how to read and interpret the scriptures on our own, y'all. So don't sit on the fence. Go ahead. It's just $10 a month, right? Cancel anytime. But anyway, let's continue. Quote, no man taketh my life from me, but I lay it down myself. I have power to lay it down, and I have power to take it again, end quote. What is his life but the vital warmth and heat? What is his life but his vital warmth and heat? When does he lay it down? But when entering into the scales of September, that's Libra, the constellation or the zodiac Libra. He satisfies the justice of heaven by giving to men the reward of their works in cultivating the earth in full measure of the corn of August and the full ripened grapes of September. Let's stop right here. A lot of people will argue there's a verse in the gospel where the apostles were plucking the corn as they walked through the field. And see, other people have argued, no, it wasn't corn, it was wheat. And then they look in the Strong's lexicon. If I'm remembering correctly, Strong's lexicon has both corn and wheat. Strong's lexicon has both corn and wheat. But in 1831, when this sermon was given, the author said it was corn. Now, where do we find corn in the world? South America, right? South America. Now, I heard, I heard someone say that the Egyptians also had corn over on the other side in Africa. The only person I've ever heard say that was Dr. Van Sertima. Everybody else says that corn is native to the Americas, okay? So y'all take that and deal with it the way you want to deal with it. It's worth bringing out. So let's deal with what we covered so far. Again, the author is saying that in this verse that was quoted, no man taketh my life from me. What that's referring to, life again, is his vital energy that comes from what? The heat and warmth of the sun, S-U-N. The heat and warmth of the sun, that is the life or the vital energy, right? When does that take place? That's beginning in the vernal equinox, March 21st. So what happens? March 21st, you plant your corn, you plant your grapes, remember? And then you wait and you hope that there's going to be rain. You hope that you're going to have a good harvest. Even though you put in a lot of work, you still hope, right? You still hope. And then in the autumn equinox, every man gets rewarded for his work. You didn't do any work, you're not going to have a harvest. If you did a little work, you're going to have a little harvest. If you did a lot of work and everything goes right, you're going to have a great, wonderful harvest, right? Now, let's talk about this matter of let me take a look here. Oh, yes, the matter of justice. The matter of justice. Let's read it. When does he lay it down? But when entering the scales of September. Now, the scales of September, again, that's justice, that's righteousness. That is the zodiac sign Libra. When does he lay down his life? He lays it down when he enters into Libra, the concept, the zodiac Libra. He satisfies the justice of heaven by giving the men the reward of their works in cultivating the earth in full measure of corn of August and full ripe grapes of September. And there, sirs, when the sun is in the scales of Libra, which is the zodiac sign, the scales of September, which is Libra, right? Where was the point of coming together of the sun's S-U-N oblique path in the elliptic upon the straight line of the equator? That is most literally the autumn covenant. There stands the cup of salvation. There stands the cup of salvation, into which he every year sheds his most precious blood, the rich juice of the grape, therefore called the blood of the cross and the blood of the everlasting covenant. Now y'all know that's the new covenant, of the everlasting covenant, and the blood of the grape and of the true vine and of capital God and of the deity whose name is spelled J-E-S-U-S, and of the deity whose name is spelled A-D-O-N-I-S. Remember that deity is in mythology. And the deity whose name is spelled B-A-C-C-H-U-S. Everybody got that? Clear. Now let's just go back again to justice and the zodiac sign Libra, which is the scales of September. Let's deal with this. And there, sirs, the S-U-N in Libra, where was the point of the coming together of the sun's oblique path into the elliptic. So y'all will remember that that is the crucifixion, right? That is the crucifixion. So we've shown that many, many times. So let's go ahead. Let me pull it up. I'll try to find that image and we'll show it again. Give me 1 second, y'all. So let's take a look at the image. Give me 1 moment, please. We'll pull that illustration up in 1 second. It's hard for me to see, so be patient. It's hard for me to see what's going on. All right. So we're in downloads. All right. Give me 1 second, y'all. It's worth the wait. Be patient. It is worth the wait. So this is going to be a review for scholars who've been here. Be patient if you've been here. So we have to help the new people too. All right, so let's pull this up. So we'll share this. Give me 1 second, y'all. Let's get this up. All right, so we'll just go through this one more again, y'all. One more again. All right, so this is the vernal equinox. The root word in vernal is ver. The root word in vernal is ver. The Latin root is ver, V-E-R. The vernal equinox occurs March 21st of every year. The autumn equinox occurs on September 23rd of every year. So now we are in Libra. The autumn equinox occurs September 23rd every year. We are in the scales of justice, Libra, the balanced scales, right? Correlate that with the Egyptian balanced scales and with the unbalanced scales of the U.S. Corporation, right? So here we are, we're in the autumn equinox. Now take a look at this yellow line. This is the ecliptic. This is the sun's orbit. This is the orbit of the sun, or as the author keeps calling it, the orb. This is the orb. This is the elliptic. This orange line here, this is the celestial equator. This is the celestial equator. All right, for those scholars who've been here, we know that this straight line going from one equinox to the other, those are the two pillars. Make your correlations. Now, when the orb or the ecliptic crosses the celestial equator, at this point, this is what the author is referring to in the text. Let me read it again. And there, sirs, when the S-U-N, sun, is in the scales of September, where was the point of the coming together of the sun's oblique path? This is the sun's oblique path, right? That's it. That's the orb or the ecliptic. In the ecliptic, upon the straight line of the equator, here we are. This is the straight line of the equator. This, scholars in review, this is the crucifixion. This is the Christ crucified. That is most literally the autumn covenant. So now again, this is the autumn covenant. Make your correlation with the pillar of the autumn equinox. This is the autumn covenant. Remember, this is the covenant of grace. The autumn covenant is the covenant of grace, the covenant of peace. The March covenant or the vernal equinox covenant is the covenant of labor, covenant of work. All right, let's continue. There stands the cup of salvation. You'll have to go back, maybe I think 3, 4, 5, 6 presentations to get the information on the cup of salvation. But it's in the title, We show you the constellation, the presentation that I have provided, and that those who are in the comment section have helped make really excellent, more than excellent, outstanding presentations. You'll find the visual image of the cup of salvation and an explanation of all of that on those videos, okay, on those live streams. All right, just check the titles. I think it's about 5 or 6, maybe 7 or 8, I don't remember. But cup of salvation is in the title. You'll get to see those constellations if you go back and watch those videos. All right, so here is a cup of salvation. Why? Well, because of Christ is crucified. Christ is crucified at this point. And of course, when the Christ is crucified, there's blood. What blood? The blood of the grape. The blood of the grape. And who is the deity of wine? It is the deity whose name is spelled B-A-C-C-H-U-S. That is the deity of wine. That deity loves orgies. So make all of your correlations. Make all of your correlations, scholars. All right, so that's enough of that. Let's continue back to our PDF. Let's continue. All right, so here we are, the last paragraph. Put your questions and comments in the chat, in the comments section. If anybody wants to explain something, please put it in the comment section. Somebody else might understand it better the way you say it if you put it in the comment section. All right, let's continue. And there the deity whose name is spelled A-M-E-N. Now, there are many Hebrew Israelites and Christians who will say that the deity whose name is spelled A-M-E-N in Hebrew is not a deity. Go look it up in the Strong's Dictionary so that you have some information on the topic, and then you decide. You decide. If you've gone through this entire book with us, if you've gone through the entire astrotheology presentation with us, you should have more than enough information after you look this word up in the Strong's lexicon to make your own decision. All right. Again, let's continue. And there, the deity whose name is spelled capital A-M-E-N, the faithful and true martyr, the witness, having fulfilled all the promises of the year and repaid all the toils of agriculture, lays down his vital heat and descends below the line of the equator into the hell beneath. All right, so everybody see what's happening here. Let's go back to our illustration. So now we're dealing with the righteousness of the Christ figure, right? And people being paid back according to their work. In Christianity, being paid back according to your works has a spiritual meaning, right? Spiritual rewards, whatever they might be. Okay, so here we are. This is the autumn equinox, March 21st. Springtime. People begin to prepare the soil. You do the hard work of removing the rocks out. You have to soften the soil, right? You have to break up the mud that has become solid. You break it up. You got to till the soil. You got to mineralize the soil. Some places you might have to burn, right? Some stretches of land you got to burn, okay? So you got to prepare that field to be burned so that the fire doesn't spread and burn up everything. You got to have your animals. You got to feed them. You got to clean up. It's a lot of work involved with agriculture. So you do all of that labor. Now, once all of that labor is done, you got to water it. So you got to build what? An irrigation system, if there's one needed, right? You got to manage. You got to learn engineering concepts, don't you? So that you can be able to build the irrigation system in the first place, so that you can control the water flow, right? You got to build what? Maybe you got to build a dam, Maybe you have to build other structures, right, that require engineering principles. Engineering principles and concepts. You got to do all of this work, physical and mental, okay? Then you have to hope. Hope for rain, right? Hope that there's going to be enough water in your irrigation system or in the water table so that your crops will have enough, okay? Or you also have to manage the wild animals. You got to do all of this stuff, okay? All of this stuff. And then that's happening here. So here is summertime. Here's summertime, right? So you do all of this work. This is the covenant of labor, covenant of work. You do all of that work. And then summertime, you're hoping. You're hoping for rain, hoping everything goes right. And then in the autumn equinox, right? Or in the fall, in September, okay, now justice will be served. Nature will serve justice. If you put the work in, you're going to have a huge harvest. If you did only a little bit of work, you're going to be hungry. And winter is going to be a monster for you. So now, the sun, S-U-N, did all of its work, right? And then it gave its heat, it gave its warmth. And then in the autumn, the sun is going to say, okay, I'm going to take a break now. I'm going to take a rest. What does that mean? It means the nighttime hours are going to be longer than the daylight hours, right? That's what the author is talking about. It's going to get cold. And then hell is the declination. This is the sun at its at the point furthest from the earth. This is all the author is telling us. All right. So now let's continue. And there, the deity whose name is spelled capital M-A-N, the faithful and true martyrer or witness, having fulfilled all the promises of the year and repaid all the toils of agriculture, lays down his vital heat from spring until summer, right? And descends below the line of the equator into that hell beneath. Here's the line of the equator, right? This is the line of the equator, the orange, okay? This is the sun below. I know it looks like above, but it's supposed to be below. This is the declination, all right? This is the lowest point. This is hell. This is the bottomless pit. This is darkness. Again, that's also what? Satan the devil. All right. So in the gate of which you see, let's go back. Well, let me continue reading. Stands the ugly scorpion of October. So the scorpion of October would be somewhere in here, right? The scorpion, which is the zodiac of October, that quote, the scorpion of October, that quote, the worm that never dieth. So make your correlations about the celestial worm that never dieth. We went through that in previous presentations. Again, and there you'll see the scorpion. So after the celestial, right, you'll see the scorpion of October, which is, quote, the worm that never dieth, to pledge you to that encouraging truth that though the deity whose name is spelled capital A-M-M-O-N be hidden or concealed, that though the deity whose name is spelled capital A-M-M-O-N be hidden or concealed, Christ still liveth. Though the caloric or vital heat appears to be greatly diminished, yes, quote, the fire is not quenched. All right, so autumn gets cold. The beginning of winter gets cold. Deep winter is freezing, right? That's all the author is talking about. So that deity whose name is spelled capital A-M-M-O-N is none other than the sun. S-U-N, the sun, all right? So when we first crossed that equator, when the sun is going into hell, when the sun is going into hell, what is the zodiac or constellation? The next constellation, that the one we're talking about here, again for emphasis, is Scorpio, the scorpion of October. So make the correlation. The Scorpio of October, or scorpion, we associate that with the worm that never dieth. Scorpio, the worm that never dieth, the deity whose name is spelled capital A-M-M-O-N, and the hidden or concealed sun. Christ still lives. Christ will be resurrected. Even though you don't see him in terms of the gospel story, which the author claims is a fairy tale, or astrotheologically, you don't feel the sun's warmth, you don't feel its heat, you do not feel the sun's vital energy. But Christ still lives. Christ will be resurrected. All right, let's go back to the PDF. I hope that oh, I forgot to turn the page. My bad, y'all. Let me see what's going on. For whatever reason, my page is not turning. Hold on. What's going on? Why my page not working? Give me a second. Why is my page not working? Give me 1 second, y'all. I gotta figure this out. All right. So let's go back to our document. Okay. Let's go back to the PDF. Oh, what's going on? So I'm having some technical issues. Give me 1 second. All right, let's see if it works now. What's going on? The PDF won't show. Give me 1 second. All right, let me close the PDF. I don't know why it's doing this, y'all, but I gotta close the PDF out and open it again. I don't know what's going on with it. Give me 1 second. What's happening with the PDF? All right. Hold on, y'all. Well, let me see. I need to close this. For some reason, it's not working. What's happening? Give me 1 second, y'all. Very strange. Very, very strange. Give me a second, y'all. I don't know what's happening. The PDF locked up. I'm trying to get it. I got another one. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Oh, you know, nobody wants to be, a skeptic, but sometimes you have to wonder, why does these things happen? You know, trying to do your thing and then you get technical problems. All right. Not the word I was looking for was not skeptic, but y'all know what I'm talking about. All right, so none of them are gonna open. All right, so let's try it again. All right, y'all, I got another one. Let's see if this is gonna work. Give me 1 second. All right, so let me share the screen. Hopefully we can do something with this. What's going on? Sorry, y'all. Be patient. Know what's happening. All right. Oh boy. All right. So let's see. All right. So I got it. I got it. Let me just get to the page real quick, y'all. What in the world is happening? Okay, so let me show it. One second. So we're on page 280, everybody. So if you have your book with you, we're on page 280. So I want to say welcome to everyone. Those of you who have been here from day one, and then those of you who are new, welcome to Astrotheology. Okay, I'm Dr. Yasafa from Zion Law School, and we're on page 280, y'all. Be patient with me. Nothing I can do about this right now. I just have to go through it. All right, page 280. So what do y'all think about what we've been going through so far? Can someone put something in the chat while I'm searching for the pages? You put your thoughts in the chat. Has the author made his claim? Has he presented enough evidence to support his claim? Has he not? What's your opinion? Also, what do you think about what we've covered up until now, today, in this presentation? What do y'all think about this? All right, we're on page 280. So we got that. So let me do something with the size, page size, so everybody can see it. All right, let's continue. Okay. The S-U-N son that seemed to give up his life into the power of those infernal scorpions. Y'all got that? So I'm trying to give you ways to remember through association, ways to remember and understand through association. In other words, memorization techniques. This is what I've been doing with you all. Okay. So now the S-U-N that seemed, the son that seemed to give his life into the power of those infernal scorpions. What scorpions? The scorpion of October, Scorpio, having stings in their tails, to whom it was given to hurt the earth 5 months, will rise again in the constellation of the Ram. The Ram again is what? The Lamb, the Vernal Equinox, March 21st. Now, what book, scholars, what book do you see or do you find scorpions? What book do you find scorpions? Put it in the comment section. What book do you find scorpions? And this all has to do with the last days, or maybe even Armageddon. I don't remember because I haven't been in Christianity for so long. All right, but you will find that those scorpions are astrological in nature. It is the Scorpio zodiac. It is the Scorpio zodiac. All right, let's continue. The S-U-N son that seemed to give his life, that is his warmth, his heat, his vital energy. The S-U-N son that seemed to give up its warmth, its heat, its vital energy into the power of those infernal scorpions, that is the scorpion of October, having stings in their tails, to whom it was given to hurt the earth 5 months. Note 5 months. Is that significant? We shall see. Note 5 months. To whom it was given to hurt the earth for 5 months will rise again. What will rise? The sun, S-U-N, will rise again in the constellation of the Ram, with healing in his beams. Now, we know that there's a scripture about the sun rising, the S-U-N, sun rising with healing in its wings. In its wings. I've shown that in this presentation. And I've also discussed this many times in our curses course. Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, every Saturday, with healing in its beams. So why is the author writing beams here instead of wings? I don't know, but we shall see, hopefully. In fact, someone, one of you scholars in the audience, type in that verse and see if you see what you get. All right. The sun, S-U-N, with healing in its beams, B-E-A-M-S, and see what comes up. And he who was our savior in autumn becomes our redeemer in spring. Again, he who was our savior in autumn equinox, becomes our redeemer in spring. See, your savior got crucified, right? And it is his blood, right? The blood of the covenant. What covenant? The covenant of peace, the covenant of grace, right? The gospel's grace, the covenant of grace. Everybody see the correlation? The astronomical correlation. All right. So we're talking again about the constellation of the Ram, which is the vernal equinox, which is the redeemer. Okay. The sun is the redeemer in spring, which is the vernal equinox. Hence, says the apostle, speaking of the sun sun in the scales that is Libra of September. Quote, it is capital G-O-D that justifieth, end quote. Again, it is capital G-O-D that justifieth, end quote. The balance scales, or Libra, justice and righteousness at all costs, right? Let's continue reading. Who is he that condemneth? Quote, it is Christ that died, end quote. But that was a mistake. It was not Christ that died. The apostle immediately corrects the error by saying, quote, nay, rather that is risen. So it is not Christ that is died, but Christ that is risen. It was not Christ that died. The apostle immediately corrects the error by saying, quote, nay, rather that is risen. It is Christ that has risen, because the deity whose name is spelled J-E-S-U-S is the autumn equinox, and Christ is the vernal sun, or the vernal equinox. So in other words, in the autumn equinox, the sun, the name of the sun is the deity whose name is spelled J-E-S-U-S. Again, make a mental note of this. The autumn equinox, the sun, in the autumn equinox, the sun is called J-E-S-U-S. In the vernal equinox, the sun is called the Christ. So the sun rises, or the Christ rises in the vernal equinox. And then the deity whose name is spelled J-E-S-U-S, who is the S-O-N, dies in the autumn equinox. He gets crucified, right? All right, so these are the astronomical correlations. 2 to the gospel story. All right, let's continue. It was not that died, the apostle immediately corrects the error by saying, nay, rather, Christ has risen, because JESUS is the autumn equinox, and the Christ is the vernal sun, or the vernal equinox, the sun in the vernal equinox. It is the deity whose name is spelled JESUS, therefore that dies, and Christ that rises. And the deity whose name is spelled JESUS, dying to redeem the chosen sheep, is but another version of the story of Jason sailing to fetch back the golden fleece. So there you have the mythology. Again, we're dealing with, broadly speaking, what science? Philology. Okay, why? Because he's bringing in mythology. All right. Okay, so these were some pretty fun correlations, y'all. I don't know about y'all, but I had fun going through these correlations. Hey, can y'all like the video? I'm putting the work in. Like the video. You can do something, right? I'm doing this for everybody. Like the video. It's gonna help. Maybe you forgot. I hope you forgot. But if you're here, like the video. And if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. See, when you do this, when you like, when you subscribe, it puts the law of compensation behind you instead of in front of you, blocking you. Okay, the law of compensation, one meaning of it is that if you get something, give something, right? Don't take and not give, because you're going to have to pay it back. That's how life is. In other words, the books get balanced, right? The accounting gets balanced. So, like the video and subscribe if you like the content. All right. All right. Let me know that. Now, if you don't like the content, then, I'm going to assume that nobody wants to hear it. And I won't do these I won't put as much energy and effort into these presentations if it's not appreciated. Y'all understand what I'm saying? I can only go by the feedback, because we're not sitting in a classroom where I can talk to you. Plus, we have to return and I shouldn't even have to say this. You know what I mean? When y'all come in, if you stay longer than 5 minutes, why not like the video? Okay, it's not just you, but we have to return as a nation. And I shouldn't even have to stop the presentation to ask to like the video, right? Anyway, I'm gonna stop right here. Nobody you all don't want to like the video. I'm gonna stop right here. I will be back tomorrow with the next presentation. If you don't like the content, don't come back. You're not welcome here, okay? If you like the content, you're welcome. Come back, enjoy, learn as much as you want. But if you don't like it, you don't want to like and share the video, then don't come back. This is not for you. I don't want you on my stream, to be frank with you. If you're a religious person and you're here listening and you're angry, nothing to be angry at me about. I'm reading the author's work. Take it out with take it up with the Most High. You don't like what I'm doing, that's fine. All right, go someplace else if you don't like this content. All right. Go someplace else if you don't like the content. All right, this is not for you. And in fact, if you don't like the content and you are subscribed, I invite you to unsubscribe, because I don't want you here. All right, this is for people who want to learn. This is not for religious people who want to come here and be angry. All right, this is for people who want to learn and understand what they believe and why they believe it, and then make a decision as to whether or not they want to continue to believe it based upon science, not religion. All right, so I think I made myself perfectly clear on that issue. Okay, so I'm going to call it quits today. I'll be back 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If the videos are not liked, then I will cut the presentation short because it takes time and effort and energy for me to do this. And if there's nothing coming back to help me get the message out to the people, then I'm not going to put that type of effort and energy into